Hello. Okay, I've been gone for a few days. I don't even remember how, 2, 3. So I started my job, um, and I work. Hold on, rabbit. Timmy, Timmy. Okay. All right. So what was I saying? Yes. So I started my new job in earnest. And I work till midnight. Ow, my earring was stuck to my scarf. Oh, God. Will it never cease? Okay. So, yeah, I work till midnight every night. And, so yeah, it's made it hard to come on here because I also work another job in the daytime and, I'm going to school. So it's been a little hectic just because the new semester just began on Monday. What day is this? Is it Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah, and I guess I think I was on here on Sunday. It's all a blur. So that's why I have not been here because I'm struggling to just figure out when I'm supposed to do things. But I have some time today. So I thought I would jump on. I was trying to think like maybe I should come on when I get home. I might start doing that because I'm awake anyway for, a while. Like I just stay up. Oh, I did my nails. Can you tell? I did them very like subtle. My man doesn't like really like he doesn't like talons. So I did them very subtly. Just like a little square. Yes. Anyway, so what am I trying to say? I get home and I usually doom scroll anyway for a while. Not really doom scroll, but like I'll watch a couple things on YouTube. So I thought, well, maybe I could take that time and read. So anyway, please bear with me. I'm just trying to figure out this new life of mine. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway. Okay. Let's start reading. Also, the volume on my TV is broken. Like, I'm just having no luck with TVs. When I get paid, I'm going to have to like go buy a new one. Or you know what? I just need to buy a universal remote. That's what I need to do. And I have a universal remote, but it won't pair. So, anyway, why am I telling you all this? What else is new? So, I'm only in one class this semester, so I'm making it sound like, but I mean, I don't know. It's just like with the other job, and then like trying to get a class in, and then like tomorrow I take my granddad to the doctor, and then the family. Everything just feels really hectic, and I don't know why. Oh, I'm like, why didn't it feel this hectic last semester? And I'm like, oh yeah, because I wasn't working till midnight. That's why. So yesterday I got like, it was the fam's first time being alone in the evening, and like they've done their, babysitting courses and all that. So they're technically allowed, but they've never been. So, and I was like trying to get, because I'm not like a cell phone for kids, kind of gal. Anyway, but I had to like get a home phone so that, everyone can reach me. And oh my gosh, I'm telling you, getting that stupid thing set up yesterday, I thought I was going to lose my mind. Anyway, I should have done it sooner, but anyway, everything by the skin of my teeth, I guess. So I was getting that set up, and then I was at work, and I called them like 7 times. Wild. And then, of course, I get home. I get home at midnight. Everyone's still awake. They're all just like, hey. How was work? Adorable. But then I just felt so bad because then they had to get up, and go to school this morning. I'm just like, so it's like trying to encourage them to, at least nap. Because one was like, well, just don't feel comfortable going to bed when you're not here. And I totally understand that. But I'm like, okay, but, it's just it's just hard, like it's such a hard decision to make I mean, what are you going to do? When you're a single parent and you have to put bread on the table, right? And it won't be late forever. It won't be late evenings forever. So I'm just like holding on to that. So I'm just being trained right now for a night supervisor, but soon they will start switching me into day shifts. And then I'm going to have to contend with my classes. It's just this whole thing. Like, ugh. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I'm just, all right. Let's read. I think I'm sitting here suffering from mom guilt. I'm like, oh no, what have I done? But, I know they're okay. It's just the guilt. And it won't be forever. And I mean, what's the alternative? Starve? No, it's good pay. And it's a company that I can just stay at. Like, I never have to leave. Even when I finish my degree, they'll just promote me. So, yeah, anyway. We're 7 minutes in. All right, so I think I said there's 22 chapters in this book. And so that's 21. Maybe there's 22. Good Lord, I'm starved. My stomach is, audibly growling. Anyway, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get into a schedule. Okay, 22, yep. I'm not sure how long I'm going to read this morning because I have so many things to get done. Because I got to make sure that everything's done, make sure my kitchen's clean, make sure I have dinner ready so that they can just heat it up in the microwave. Yeah. Latchkey kids. That's what it feels like now. But at least I get to bring them home. I get to get them settled and make sure their homework is, started and, so, okay. Enough of that. I'm suffering. Okay. Chapter 20. The Princess of Wales stood in the middle of her shoe closet and pointed to 3 rows of low heels. She waved her hand at the stubby shoes she had worn so she wouldn't tower over her husband. You can throw out those dwarfers, she told her dresser. I won't be needing them anymore. Within days, she started wearing her highest heels, the ones with ankle straps and open toes that she called her tarts trotters. She had been liberated by the Prime Minister's statement to the House of Commons. It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate. Their Royal Highnesses have no plans to divorce, and their constitutional positions are unaffected. This decision has been reached amicably. The Queen and Duke of Edinburgh, though saddened, understand and sympathize with the difficulties which have led to this decision. When the Prime Minister made that announcement, he looked like a man at a funeral forced to deliver a eulogy. His words had been crafted by the Queen's lawyers and courtiers to convey sad news without quite telling the truth. Despite the public reassurances, the couple did plan to divorce. Their decision was not amicable, and their constitutional positions were affected. The Queen and Duke of Edinburgh were not saddened. They were incensed, and they did not understand or sympathize. Rather, they believed that the marriage should continue no matter how miserable for the sake of the monarchy. Television programs were preempted on December 9, 1992, to carry the Prime Minister's statement, and when he rose to speak, the House of Commons fell strangely silent. Afterward, the fiery Labour MP Dennis Skinner said, "The royal family has just pushed the self-destruct button. He was immediately barraged by indignant shouts, but he continued, "It is high time we stopped this charade of swearing allegiance to the Queen and her heirs and successors, because we don't know from time to time who they are. The reigning Queen could possibly be the last." The Prime Minister bristled. "You do not, I believe, speak for the nation or any significant part of it." But the Prime Minister was wrong. After his announcement, polls showed that 3 out of 4 Britons believed the House of Windsor was crumbling. The Queen, who was at Sandringham, did not watch the announcement on television. She was walking her dogs. When she returned, her page was waiting to offer his sympathy. She nodded briskly and said, "I think you'll find it's all for the best." Charles was more forthcoming with his staff at Highgrove. "I feel a surging sense of relief," he told them. He had already started refurbishing the rooms that Diana had vacated. He ordered all the belongings she had not taken with her to be burned, including some of the children's old toys. On top of the bonfire was a carved wooden rocking horse that had been a birthday gift to Prince William from the President of the United States and Mrs. Reagan. What the heck is happening here? Like, you'd burn it? Couldn't you find something else to do with it? No, let's have a bonfire. Guys, I'm starved. Okay. After the Prime Minister's announcement, reporters descended on Camilla Parker Bowles' manor house in Wiltshire, but she feigned ignorance about the Wales' separation. "Obviously, if something has gone wrong, I'm very sorry for them," she said, "but I know nothing more than the average person in the street. I only know what I see on television." These people. The couple who had been married 50 miles away, her husband emerged from his London apartment. The couple who had been married 19 years lived apart quietly and saw each other only on rare weekends. When reporters asked his reaction, Andrew Parker Bowles kept walking. "Like everyone else," he said, "one feels sad about this." He scolded a reporter for suggesting that his wife had been instrumental in the breakup. "No, it's not true," he said. "How many times do I have to spell it out? Those stories are pure fiction." I don't understand why all these people are all like, it's all clear. Everyone knows. And yet they're like, no. Okay. Reactions split. Oh, wait. I've skipped a whole section. Some people on the street told reporters they felt betrayed. "The royal family is supposed to be better than us," said which just makes me laugh, because if we, I don't know how, like, every generation we arrive at this. Every generation we think that they are somehow more moral, that they are somehow, their marriages are better. They have higher, I don't know if we ever think they have higher intelligence, but just somehow they are supposed to be better. We still hold this up when from the dawn of time, we have seen that some of the most despicable human beings across every country, every nation, no matter where they are, have been royals. Okay? You give people power and money, what happens? It's usually never good. But yet, we're always shocked, aren't we? "They're supposed to be better than us," said one middle-aged woman. "They're supposed to show us the way to behave. Otherwise, what's their purpose?" I mean, yeah, in modern life, what is their purpose? Because they're not, governing. They're not doing anything. So I guess, that's a big thing. They have been probably more so set up in more recent times as a paragon of virtue. I think probably the more their power diminished, the more they became this icon of, morality, family life, all that is good and virtuous. Maybe. And I think a lot of it started with Queen Victoria, because before her, I don't think anyone thought that he was a paragon of virtue and modesty. I think he was a notorious playboy and a party guy. Reactions split down generations. Those who had spent childhood nights huddled in London's underground during World War II looked to royalty as a beacon. But those who grew up listening to the Beatles, not to the Bombs, viewed the royal family as a relic. To the post-war generations, especially those reared on video games, the monarchy just looked plain silly. One 19-year-old student from Liverpool said, "Just a bunch of out-of-date, out-of-touch richies." But the royalist, Lord St. John of Falsley, disagreed. He rationalized that the royal family was emblematic of the modern dysfunctional family. Next to the United States, the United Kingdom had the highest rate of divorce in the Western world, which was reflected in its royal family. For this century, the monarchy has been held up as an example of family rectitude, he said with a straight face. Well, that can't go on. So the royal family will have to adapt itself to new circumstances. In some ways, it will be nearer to the people because it will be sharing the family problems all of us have faced. No dynasty had taught its subjects more emphatically to shrink from divorce, and no dynasty had given them more from which to shrink. Yet by 1992, all the monarch's married children were legally separated and headed for divorce. Great weddings, observed writer Valerie Grove. Too bad about the marriages. Half the country now believed that by the end of the 20th century, the monarchy would be finished and that Britain would not suffer. The press reflected the public sentiments. Charles will not be king, predicted the Sun. Di will not be queen. Well, they got it half right. The Daily Mirror said, the latest royal mess is making a mockery of the monarchy. Unchecked, that mockery will destroy the monarchy itself. Measured against people's expectations, Charles had fallen alarmingly far. Even Tory members of Parliament debated his right to the throne. Fearing a constitutional crisis, he called his friend Arnold, Lord Goodman, for advice. The eminent lawyer said that a divorce would not prevent him from becoming king, but a second marriage would. Oh, how we know now. So Charles did not intend to remarry. He maintained stoutly, I will be the next king. I mean, I don't blame him, because think about it. Think the whole life you've given up, and then just to be like, well, I'd be like, frig this, I've given up, well, how old is he now? In his mid-40s. I've given up this much of my life. Like, no, I'm taking it. I'm doing it. The separation had international repercussions. In Germany, wax museums moved the mannequins of Charles and Diana suitably apart. Doesn't this seem ridiculous? Like, it's so silly. In Australia, the government dropped all references to Queen Elizabeth II from its oath of allegiance. In Britain, Labour MP Anthony Benn introduced a bill to abolish the monarchy. He suggested replacing the Queen with an elected president. But then what happens to the Prime Minister? Okay. Separating church and state and giving Wales and Scotland their own parliaments. The Benn bill was never debated, but people who cared about monarchy were concerned. From the United States, Prince Philip's one-time Hollywood press agent offered his services. Henry Rogers of Rogers & Cowan had orchestrated the publicity for Philip's 1966 trip to Los Angeles. The two men had met on the recommendation of Philip's Hollywood pal Frank Sinatra, a client of Rogers & Cowan. Is it Cowan? Cowan? C-O-W-A-N. Now, 26 years later, Rogers offered to come out of retirement to help again. Philip thanked him in a handwritten letter from Windsor Castle. Dear Henry, life appears to have changed out of all recognition. Whoever first said it never rains but it pours made a very profound statement. So much has happened at once, and as bad luck would have it, it all took place against the somber backdrop of the recession. In spite of the dramatic media, we have had tremendous support through the mail from people of all kinds. I have every hope that things will get better this year. But thank you all the same for generously offering your help. The royal family appeared calm and tried to hold firm, especially the Queen Mother. She knew the country had survived bad kings, mad kings, weak kings, dumb kings, homosexual kings, even foreign-born kings. At the age of 92, she was not so acute as she had once been, but she was determined to help Charles, her favorite grandchild, achieve what she saw as his destiny. For she was a kingmaker. In her time, she had rammed steel down the spine of her weak husband and made him look strong to his subjects. Now she longed to do the same for her beleaguered grandson. But she opposed divorce, so much so that she would not let Charles move in with her after the separation as he waited for his apartment in St. James's Palace to be renovated. The Queen Mother had been reared during an era when divorce spelled social disgrace, and she remained convinced that the only real threat to the monarchy was divorce. She tolerated all kinds of deviant behavior in her family, from alcoholism to drug addiction, but she did not countenance divorce. She said that the death blow to family stability, which she felt She said that was the death blow to family stability, which she felt the House of Windsor must represent to survive. She resisted attending Princess Anne's second wedding in Scotland because she did not want to pay tribute to another divorce in the royal family. Despite her reservations, she eventually relented. She dismissed those who said the monarchy was in crisis because royalty had stepped off the throne to marry commoners like Sarah Ferguson and Diana Spencer. As the most exemplary commoner of them all, the Queen Mother naturally disagreed with that. She said the problem was divorce and that Sarah and Diana were unsuitable because they were the children of divorce. I don't think that's what made them unsuitable. Yeah, I think there were more issues going on. I mean, you could argue that there were some issues brought about by the instability that divorce caused, but however, these homes were unstable before the divorce, and which is what led to the divorce, right? Like they had terribly toxic home lives before the divorce. And then, they had parents who didn't know how to be parents, for all their wealth and prestige and whatever else. They didn't know how to be parents, unfortunately. That's what happens when you leave the child rearing to, nannies. Neither Sarah nor Diana had seen a marriage grow into a lifetime partnership that overcame adversity and boredom. Instead, both had watched their mothers place personal satisfaction before duty and responsibility. To the Queen Mother, but let's not forget that they also saw their fathers cheat, and run around, and it's just not just that the mothers left, it's that their fathers were also, it's a two-way street here. To the Queen Mother, those were the hallmarks of royalty. Now the daughters were following their mother's wayward footsteps by breaking their marriage vows. I mean, so were these men. In doing so, they were betraying crown and country. You take in 2 girls from broken homes, the Queen had said, and look how they repay you. The Queen Mother agreed. She blamed Diana especially for allowing the world to see the sordid misery of her marriage. The Queen Mother had used that word in talking to her grandson. Charles had warned her about his wife's instability and her confounded unreasonableness, but the Queen Mother was unprepared for Diana's unholy disclosures. The bulimia, the business of overeating and then vomiting, that thoroughly revolted her, said one of the Queen Mother's friends. The image of the future Queen of England riding the porcelain chariot was, well, I'm afraid she couldn't get beyond the picture of the Princess of Wales crouched over a toilet bowl, purging herself of puddings by throwing up. A traitor entered our house, the Queen Mother told Ruth Fermoy, her lady-in-waiting. Lady Fermoy agreed, but sadly the traitor was her own granddaughter. Flesh and blood and family count for little when you're a royalist, said Ruth Fermoy's goddaughter. And Ruth was a royalist to her core. She turned on Diana when she separated from Charles, whom she absolutely adored. She said it was the saddest day in her life. Despite what has been written about her and the Queen Mother engineering the marriage, Ruth told me that she didn't want Diana to marry Charles. She had warned her at the time of what she would encounter by joining the royal family. But Diana was helplessly in love and assured Grandma Ruth, as she called her, that she wanted to dedicate her life to Charles. Silly girl. Diana mended things a little before Ruth died, but just. I was there when she visited Ruth's flat in Eaton Square for the last time. And I felt sad for her when she left because Ruth said she still didn't forgive Diana for what she had done. But then neither did Diana's mother. She, Frances Shand Kidd, told me, and these were her exact words, I know Charles has hurt Diana terribly, but I love him, and I refuse to take sides. That's from Diana's own mother. And as for the Queen Mother, well, she unleashed her dogs, and it's been bloody hell for Diana ever since. In public, the Queen Mother, who avoided any unpleasantness, never snarled, barked, or growled. For that, she unleashed her dogs, who were the emissaries she designated to communicate her opinions to the press. She, like her daughter, insisted on maintaining the myth of never granting interviews, although both talked to favored writers. After the Prime Minister's announcement about the separation, Lord Wyatt stepped forward to comment on the behavior of the Princess of Wales. He was identified as a close personal friend of the Queen Mother, so readers of the Sunday Times were expected to know whose sentiments were being expressed. Princess Diana could never have won a university place, but she won a prince and failed to keep him. She is addicted to the limelight her marriage brought. It's like a drug. To feed her craving, she will do anything, even if it meant destroying the throne she solemnly swore to uphold. Within weeks, Diana was portrayed as a woman more sinned against than sinning. A transcript of her husband's intimate telephone conversation with his mistress was published on January 12, 1993. The secret recording known as Camilla Gate was made on December 18, 1989, a few days before the secret recording of Diana's telephone conversation with James Gilby, known as Squidgy Gate. Both conversations had been picked up by men, both hobbyists, who claimed they scanned the airwaves in their spare time like ham radio operators. But those who tend to conspiracies hinted at something more sinister. They said that publishing transcripts 3 years after the conversations were recorded suggested more than mere coincidence. They speculated that the furtive interceptions had been carried out by Britain's domestic intelligence agency, MI5, to embarrass the royal family and destabilize the monarchy. The embarrassment was profound. In the words of one writer, the public was well and truly shocked to hear the prospective supreme governor of the Church of England declare his passion for another man's wife. I want to feel my way along you, all over you, and up and down you, and in and out, particularly in and out, Charles told Camilla. I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier. God, here's the awful truth, is that when people are in love, they say the most ridiculous things to each other. I'm not saying that what Charles and Camilla did was right, okay? Now, please do not think that I'm defending their relationship, because I have expressed sympathy for them in the past, at the same time as acknowledging that it was terribly, terribly wrong. Okay, but the thing is like being in a relationship myself, like sometimes you and your partner will say the most mental things to each other that you guys are just like laughing and having, like a big joke, and like you think you're being so funny, and it's just like between the two of you. But then if you had to read the transcripts of what you said, like, please. And so I feel like this conversation is I just see it as like lover silliness, but oh my Lord, like I know me and my man have probably said things that are just as stupid and embarrassing, but thank God it's like in the privacy of our own home where, we're just being silly. But it's like, can you imagine if your most intimate like moments with your partner, especially when you're just being dumb, like, oh my Lord, like, preserve us. I have to wear a bag over my head for the rest of my life. During the late night conversations, Charles proposed living inside Camilla as a Tampax, which she found delightful. Oh, what a wonderful idea, she exclaimed. He paused. My luck to be chucked down a lavatory and go on forever swirling around the top, never going down. Sounding enthralled, she said she wanted him day and night, desperately, desperately, desperately. The day the transcript was published, reporters surrounded Camilla's home. When she heard why they were there, she was stunned. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, she said. I must speak to my husband. He's on his way home. She closed the door and took the phone off the hook. And okay, so when did this come? This was recorded in 1989, and it's just coming through in 93. Would you even remember that conversation? Like, I wouldn't. I'd be like, what? And then I'd be like, oh God, like, were we really, who knows? They could have been drinking. Who knows what nonsense was going on? But it's just like one of those stupid conversations. I don't think, like, the conversation I don't find it all that shocking. Like, because like I said, I think it's just silliness. It's just lovers being silly. But it's just awful that it had to be made public. Like, honestly, like I'm telling you, like, if people could hear me and my man, the way we go on, and like we use this little voice with each other, like when we're alone, like when we're just like being silly and like saying all this nonsense, like I would die. I would die if other people were in on it. Oh my God. I don't mean when we're being sexy. I mean like when we're just like being silly and like joking around. But like sometimes like you make sexual jokes with your partner and you're just being silly. And I feel so bad. Imagine her coming out of her house. And she's like, what? Why is everyone here? And they're like, Charles said he wants to be a tampon inside you. What? 4 years later? Preserve us. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I'm so stuck on this. I just think it's hilarious. But like in the worst possible way. I guess they got what they deserved. She can't believe it. She's got to talk to her husband. I bet. Oh my Lord. 6-minute love tape could cost Charles' throne, shrieked the Sun. But the London Evening Standard asked, so what's wrong with the king who can talk dirty? Charles said he was appalled by the publication of his private conversation and called friends to apologize for embarrassing them. They deplored publication of a private conversation that was taped, duplicated, sold, and printed in transcript form. You might argue Charles and Camilla deserve the embarrassment, said his biographer Penny Junior, but surely not their children. Poor things. And they're just kiddos. Already 9-year-old Wills had been reported fighting with classmates at school, where he shoved a boy's head down the toilet. Man, he was a roughhouser. He's all boy. All right. Deeply depressed by his parents' quarreling, he locked himself in his bathroom for hours and his grades slumped. Oh, his younger brother Harry was seen sneaking cigarettes at school. What? Well, how old was Harry if William is 9? What? What is happening? Both children sucked their thumbs and wet their beds. Oh, poor babies. That is awful. Like, when they start bedwetting that they are traumatized. Thomas Parker Bowles, the teenage son of Camilla and Andrew, was arrested for possession of drugs. He was not threatened with suspension from Oxford because he was off campus when apprehended by police for possession of cannabis and ecstasy pills. To escape the jibes of students, he began calling himself Tom Bowles. He did not admit that his middle name was Charles in honor of his godfather, the Prince of Charles. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. The Prince of Wales. Although the tabloid press condemned Charles as a knave, he found compassion in unexpected quarters. Peter MacKay wrote in the London Evening Standard that the 6-minute phone call was silly, touching, and filthy, but it made me think better of Charles. He comes out of it as a daft romantic, dying to leap under the duvet, fond of terrible sex jokes. Okay, now, like I said, this is me disregarding the fact that they were having an affair, okay? Just in general, the conversation, the situation, I like I said, I'm with him there. Like, it's silly, it's affectionate, it's nonsensical, it's, The novelist Faye Weldon said she thought the transcript was moving. What's it got to do with Charles being king? I don't know. My opinion of him goes up no end because it shows he has some proper emotions. But most of the country was disgusted, and the next time he appeared in public, he was booed. At an official engagement, a man in the crowd shouted, "Have you no shame?" Opinion polls showed that only 1 in 3 Britons felt Charles was entitled to become king. Uncharacteristically, the English treated him like a politician who could be deprived of his position because of his negative image. Out of the hereditary principle involved... Wait, Okay, look at me. I'm skipping lines. Who could be deprived of... His friend and former equerry, Nicholas Soames, hastened to spell out the hereditary principle involved in succession. He explained that Charles's right to the throne did not depend on his popularity. Barring abdication or an act of parliament, Charles was not disposable. The throne is his duty, his obligation, his destiny, said Soames. It's not something he seeks, but it will be his. 1,200 years of British history are not going to be overturned by Mr. Murdoch's Republican press, engaged in a circulation war. The heir to the throne will be the next king, and that's all there is to it. Another close friend said, it was a terrible moment, the worst moment of his life. He wanted to be taken seriously. He sincerely believed he had important things to say, and in 6 minutes of private conversation, a conversation that was nobody's business but his and the woman to whom he was speaking, his reputation was ruined. He really didn't deserve to be destroyed so publicly and so cruelly. Even the far-off Fiji Islands were upset. The government announced it would discontinue celebrating Charles's birthday as a national holiday because he was no longer representing greatness to them. Okay, a national holiday? Did people get the day off of work? Because let me tell you, I'd be like, I don't care what he did. I'd be so upset. I'd be like, what? What? I have to go to work just because this guy had a conversation with his woman? How much you want to bet that if it was like a national holiday where people got the day off of work, that the government was just like seizing on it, like, yay, send them all back to work. Okay. In Australia, the Prime Minister's wife would not curtsy to him, and the Deputy Prime Minister suggested that he not be invited to open the Olympics in the year 2000. Let's have Prince William do it, anybody but his father. If Charles had chosen one act, short of child molestation, he could not have alienated his future subjects more. Through the Prince's Trust, he had established one of the country's biggest charities to benefit disadvantaged children, but no amount of grants to inner-city youngsters could make him look princely now. As his biographer Anthony Holden put it, no one listens to do-gooding sermons from a man who is two-timing the world's most desirable woman. Was she? Was she? Lord help us. Because, I mean, Diana was beautiful, but she was cuckoo-cuckoo. You know? Like, she had her own problems that she brought. Like, it was just a hot mess express. But I don't believe that it was... I mean, I'm sure that... I mean, I know that Charles really, really contributed to her, like, wackadoo ways. However, like I said, it's just a mess from beginning to end, you know? Like, you can't take a 19-year-old girl, hook her up with a 32-year-old man. Was he 32? Anyway, and be like, here... perfect. Like, especially when she was very immature. You know, she was very silly. Even the way that, like, she hung out with her girlfriend, you know, like just the kind of activity, like, she was a 19-year-old girl. I shouldn't even say she wasn't immature. She wasn't immature. She was 19. You know, she was perfectly 19 years old. Like, she was doing all the things that you do when you're 19, you know, the hanging out the car windows, yeehaw, yay, I'm getting married to a prince, you know, the rollerblading through the palace, dancing around, like that she was a 19-year-old girl. She wasn't immature. She was 19, you know. But, oh my God, just, all right. Well, we're getting off topic. Bleep, blop, bloop. Shaken by the crisis, Charles summoned 6 friends to Sandringham. Oh, yes, the most desirable woman. That's what I was saying. I mean, she's beautiful. But it seemed like in every relationship that she had, like, she couldn't hold down any relationship. Even, like, after Charles. I think she was very complicated. I think she was high maintenance, you know? I think she was emotionally high maintenance. So, I don't know. Maybe I should become more high maintenance. Do you know that my man was away, right? Anyway, he came back. He did not bring me a present. See, that's what happens when you are just not the kind of person who expects, like, anything. And I'm like, you went to the aquarium and you didn't bring me home like a little, like a magnet or, you know, something. And he was like, oh yeah, I should have. I'm like, but I noticed that you got the windows tinted in the car. Oh my gosh. Okay. Shaken by the crisis, Charles summoned 6 friends to Sandringham to advise him. Afterward, one man was dispatched to tell the Telegraph that the prince was prepared to make any sacrifice to ensure his succession to the throne. The headline on the next day's front page, Prince of Wales chooses the celibate life. What? The attempt to win back public confidence did not work. What? That is, who, I'm sorry, is someone lacking a brain? You can't, on the back of all of this, be like, I'm going celibate, print it in the newspaper. That's a joke. What? Why are we going from one extreme to the other? Like, just lay low, you know? The attempt to win back public confidence did not work. Shocker. Nothing could stop Nothing could stop the sniggering jokes. That'll be 1 pack of Charlie's, sang a London grocery clerk. ringing up a box of sanitary napkins. A cartoonist drew Charles's face as an egg cup with yolk dribbling down his nose. Greeting cards appeared with his caricature. For your birthday, I'd like to treat you to a Chuck and Die margarita. It's cold, frosty, and it's on the rocks. The palace finally intervened to prevent a safe sex poster from appearing on British billboards. The proposed advertisement had shown a wedding picture of the Prince and Princess of Wales kissing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace in front of huge crowds. The caption read, "Appearances can be deceptive. Use a Johnny condom." That's awful. A spokesman for the British Safety Council resented the palace interference. "We really could not care less what the royals think," said Fiona Harcombe. "The benefits far outweigh the offense it might cause to the Queen." Charles was humiliated. "His Royal Highness didn't want to leave the grounds," recalled one of his security guards, but his friends encouraged him not to retreat. "Be seen helping people," they advised, but he was scared. "We saw it in his eyes, like a rabbit in the clamp of a trap." When Charles visited the scene of an oil tanker spill off Scotland's Shetland Islands, he imposed a no children rule. His aide explained, "They tend to ask awkward questions." That's for sure. The prince arrived looking drawn and worried. His thinning hair was combed to conceal his bald spot, and he appeared stooped and defeated. He avoided the press as he tramped through oil-soaked fields, and he strained to make small talk with farmers whose fields and crops were buried in gunk. Later, at a mid-morning reception, he passed on orange juice and ordered a Scotch whiskey. "We asked H.R.H. Phillip to visit the oil spill as president of the World Wildlife Fund," said the World Wildlife Fund former communications director, "but Charles's staff didn't want him there." They needed the sympathetic coverage for the Prince of Wales, but the WWF is the most prestigious conservation organization in the world, and we, too, needed a presence. We finally worked it out so both of them could go and pursue separate agendas. Charles said beforehand he would not respond to the press, but Philip agreed to answer questions. After the first one, though, he lost his temper. A television reporter had asked Philip whether his visit had been overshadowed by headlines about his son's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. "It's nothing to do with that," snapped Philip, growing angry. He wheeled on the reporter. "I might have guessed someone like you would ask that question. Who do you represent?" The reporter replied, "ITN, Independent Television News." "Figures," said Philip, storming off. The Duke of Edinburgh complained to the WWF communications director that the question was rude and boorish. "The ITN reporter wasn't disrespectful, just straightforward," said the WWF employee. But the lack of deference shown in posing the question in the first place was not lost on HRH. That lack of knee-bending deference jolted the country in May 1993. More than 500 people streamed into Queen Elizabeth II Conference Centre in London to listen to a day-long debate by Royalists and Republicans on the future of the monarchy. The forum mirrored the mood of national anxiety as 90 speakers assembled. They discussed the crown and why, or even whether, it continues to matter in 20th century England. "Something has died," said Professor Stephen Hassler, "and that something is the enchantment of the British people for the monarchy." Historian Elizabeth Longford disagreed. She argued in favor of Prince Charles becoming king, but playwright David Hare recommended abolishing the monarchy because he viewed it as the fountainhead of falseness and snobbery. In between was Lord Rees-Mogg, former editor of The Times, who called himself a royalist but acknowledged the need for constitutional reform. He observed that an institution that had survived since the 6th century could be dislodged only by war or revolution. Because neither option was desirable for the country, he urged his audience to believe in the monarchy's ability to adapt. But the Queen moved like moss. Less than 3 years after agreeing to pay taxes on her public income, not on her private investments, she decided to fly commercial. By not using one of the 11 jets in the Queen's flight, she saved taxpayers about $3 million on one trip. "Her Majesty took over the entire first-class cabin," said an Air New Zealand flight attendant, "but that's as it should be. After all, she is the Queen of England, not some bicycle monarchy." But the Queen flew commercial only once. For comfort and convenience, she preferred the Queen's flight. So instead, she decided to economize on household expenses. She received $70 million a year in public funding for her travel expenses, her security costs, and the upkeep of her 8 residences. She started trimming costs by eliminating her employees' traditional benefits. Her chauffeurs, who earned $9,000 a year, had to start paying for their own shoe repair. Servants paid $8,000 a year no longer received free bars of soap. Okay, like, come on. This is what ticks me off. It's like, why don't you tighten your belt instead of, the benefits of your employees? Like, what are you getting that you don't need, But whatever. And that to me, like, how much are they spending on soap a year? How many bars of soap are they going through? One a month? Like, a bar of soap, that'll last you a month. Like, I'm thinking, like, if I have a bar of Ivory or a bar of Dove, that'll last me at least a month. Usually more than a month. Like, it takes a long time to wear down a bar of soap. So you're not getting free bars of soap? Oh, congratulations, you saved $10. Like, that's crazy. It just shows someone who has literally no real life experience. Like, not a clue. All right. Why does that tick me off so much? And the $60,000 a year courtiers who accompanied the Queen on foreign tours could no longer expect to receive a free suit. They will receive a cash stipend in exchange, the palace announced. We want to make things work better and more efficiently. As part of her cost-cutting, the Queen reconsidered giving cash bonuses to the 200 employees at Windsor Castle who had helped save her treasures during the 1992 fire. Instead of money, she offered them a free tour of the castle library. Few accepted. This is wild. All right. The royal family remained aloof from the debate about their future. Lord Charteris, the Queen's former equerry, said the idea of a republic never penetrated the palace walls. Lady Longford, a friend of the Queen, disagreed. They have been perfectly open about it, she said. As far back as 1966, when they toured Canada, they discussed the possibility of Britain's becoming a republic. If anything, they treated the subject lightheartedly. We'll go quietly, the Queen said. Philip joked that he could be packed in a day, but she would need several weeks. Too damn many corgis, he quipped. Walking into her office at Buckingham Palace one afternoon, he looked out the window and asked, "Had they got up the guillotine?" All right, I'm going to have to stop because I got to go wash my face. I used a new lotion last night and I feel itchy. I'm going to throw it away. All right, we're going to stop there. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. We'll get back on track. I'll get myself sorted here soon. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have the best day ever, and I will see you very soon.